Hey guys, we try to keep the Chicks in Charge free for everybody. The one thing that we do ask, though, is that if you get any value out of our episodes or any of the content that we produce on social media, please share with a friend, share the show, please leave a rating for future listeners, and that way we can try to keep this free of ads and any subscription costs that you might have. Hey everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to another fun episode of the Chicks in Charge. I am Shasta.
And I'm Jess.
I almost said that I was Jess.
Again,
we've done this before. We have an awesome guest for you guys today. She is the general manager and dealer principal of two stores. She is a member of the 800% Elite Automotive Club, and we have her as our guest today. So without further ado, welcome Brooke Guy.
Hello, Brooke.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about y'all?
We are doing well. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. It's so wonderful of you. I know we have never actually even met in person or even been able to shake hands. So it was so generous of you to just so quickly get back to me and say, heck yeah, I'll do this. So We're super excited to have you on board today. We know you have so much to offer so many of our listeners, and we can't wait to hear what kind of fire you're dropping.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm honored.
You are welcome. You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So like y'all said, I'm the general manager at my family's dealership. So we're third generation family owned. In fact, today is our 44th birthday.
Yay!
Which is
birthday.
Yeah. So 44 years in business. My grandfather founded it in 1980. And we've just been continuing on the family legacy. And I get the pleasure of working with 4 of my family members. And we are still not, killing each other or anything like that. So it's good. Yeah.
How do you
underestimate
manage
how hard that is?
Yes. How do you manage that relationship? How do you, as we say around here, separate church and state? How do you do that with your family dynamic, having 4 people working with you?
Yeah, it can be challenging at times, like especially with my dad. He just loves to talk about the business all the time. But with me, my cousin, and my brother, we kind of all understand our roles and positions and know that, like, hey, when we leave here, we're leaving work. And same with coming in, like we're leaving our personal stuff. But we honestly do get along very, very well, considering there's so many of us. We're very, very blessed. I just think it's a God thing that we are all able to be in the same company and not want to kill each other. So, yeah.
I love that for you guys.
I do too. That is so great. So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's really hard being, a third generation, not even second generation, but third generation coming into a business. Add on top of the fact that you are a woman and the fact that you are young.
31
years old.
Wow.
What challenges do you think that you have overcome that others may not in your situation?
So with being 31, I get judged a lot. The fact that I'm running a dealership and people automatically assume, oh, well, her dad, owns it. So of course, blah, blah, blah. Right. And when I introduce myself to customers, it's like, oh, wow, like you're the general manager. It's like, yes, I'm not going to just make this up, but it is challenging because I'm a female. So we all know, like, just the stigma of that. And granted, it's got way, way better in the automotive space, which I'm so thankful for. But it is like with customers, even, when it comes to vehicles, like these people have been buying vehicles for years. I've always dealt with a male. And so me coming out or anything like that, it's automatically this judgment, and I can feel it. But at the same time, I'm a very confident person. I know I'm capable of doing this thing. So at the same time, I just don't allow it to affect me. But yeah, being third generation, I have a big legacy to live up to. I got to make sure. Everyone always says that saying, the third generation is the one to, destroy it. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So, I've always got that pressure on that side of things. And it does make it challenging, but I've got a lot of great people around me. So I feel confident that I can make it.
What do you think that being the third generation has taught you?
So it's taught me just the value of hard work, because my dad tells me all the time, y'all will never know what it was like to go through all this. And I won't. And I acknowledge that is like such a blessing. Like, we're going to have our challenges, but to basically build a car dealership from scratch where my grandfather maxed out credit cards, like took everything he had. I mean, it's just this thing where I know, like, hey, I need to be appreciative of it, but I need to make sure that I take it and make it even bigger than what my grandfather did. Like,
Right.
like he's not here with us anymore. So in a way, just make him proud of, like, if he were to be here, that's what he would want for us, is growth.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Jinx. I know. We do it all the time.
So not only are you running the store, but you guys are doing a great job. I saw that you guys have been 5 years in a row rated one of the top Carfax dealers.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of things would you say go into ensuring that you are growing each year, not just sustaining like we talked about before, but actually growing and finding that trajectory that you need to be on in order to have that growth each year and stay the best?
Yeah, so that's something we're trying to figure out right now. So like a few years ago when I first started, or I guess 5 years ago now because it's 9 years. Anyways, we were only selling like under 100 cars a month used per like combined. And now we're selling like, I think it was like 70. Now we're selling like 150, so that has already been growth.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're getting into that point where it's like we're trying to get to 200 new and used, both sides all the time. And so it's just this scaling thing, right? Like I've never done it and my dad hasn't either. So it's just we're trying to like reach out to people like Glenn, and 800% and use these people you have to have people around you, because especially if you've never done something, like I'm not going to try to figure it out and mess it all up by myself, So we attend events, we just seek wise counsel. Like it's just so important to remind yourself that, hey, I don't know it all. So let me talk to somebody who's done it and put the metrics and benchmarks in place to assure that we're getting to those growth points.
That's a great answer.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I mean, like, even if we think about whenever we started the BDC and we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
I say it was you and Robin.
You don't know what you don't know.
But
Exactly.
you guys tried then to reach out to anybody and everybody you could. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of a similar situation where she said, some people just aren't in that mindset of
let me help you.
Growth and let me help you. You guys ran into that too,
mm-hmm.
which in turn is why we started this whole podcast, was because whenever we needed the help, we couldn't find it.
No. Yeah. It's so important to just be humble and say, okay, like if I want to get to the next level, I'm going to have to ask for some help. And that was always hard for me because I was great at like school and sports and all that. And so it's like, oh, I can do it all on my own. Well, life will serve you up some humble pie and to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to need people in my corner. And you want people in your corner. Why would you want to do it by yourself? It's hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's lonely too.
Yeah.
So we talk about all these years that you've spent in the automotive industry just for you to say to us that you never even wanted to be in the automotive industry to begin with. Yet here you are, the general manager and dealer principal of 2 stores. That's crazy. How do you get to where you are and not ever even see a future for yourself in automotive to begin with?
That's a great question. I really think it's a divine thing, a divine intervention, truly. Because I was someone who was so shy, and you can't be shy and run a dealership. Like, nope, you can't do that. So, I really think it was just built in me. It's so weird to say because it's just, I tried so hard not to do it. Like biology, science, pre-pharmacy, even went to a hotel and worked there. And it's just like, dude, what am I supposed to do? And then it just kind of like, my dad wanted me to sell cars because I didn't have any money. I needed to live somewhere. Like, okay. And so I hated it for like the first 3 years, maybe.
I'm the general manager of 2 dealerships and I hated selling cars.
And it's just, again, like the power of sticking it through. Like,
yep.
And I think people just quit too early in today's world. It's just like, oh, this is too hard. Or, oh, well, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. And instead it's like, no, lean in. This is where you're growing, is when you're really, really uncomfortable. And so I had the worst time of my life when I went to the F&I office. I mean, I had to see a therapist and like all that stuff.
No.
But it's like, dude, when I sought help, like we just talked about, I was able to get through, break some like perfectionistic like tendencies that I had, and realize that, hey, like I can finish this strong, and this is a great opportunity, and like all these other things. And then as soon as I like flipped my mind, it was like, boom, take off. And I ended up loving what I was doing and meeting great people along the way and all those things. And so now it's like, yeah, dude, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
awesome.
I like when you have that moment that it just clicks. Like I've got that, the similar, like, my mom owns the company. And so I stepped in, but started off at a dealership first. And like,
I can't believe you just said that live. Yeah. Normally she doesn't tell anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people who listen already know.
They probably know now.
Oh, well, the secret's
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's the reason I don't tell anybody is because, both of us being women, not even being inside of a dealership where I get that much opportunity to prove myself, but in a vendor space is that, I don't even know where I was originally going with this, but you do have to decide at one point, like, is this the route I'm going to go? Because if so, there's probably going to be a handoff at some point.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that's what I want.
For sure. Yeah. And it's like, my dad sat me down whenever he like made me dealer principal, and he was like, look, I need to know because, I want you kids to have this, but like, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. Mm-hmm. And he had that talk with me. And this was like in 2017. So, I mean, I was still in the finance office. Like I hadn't even gone into the desk. I haven't even been GM yet. So for him to just be like, hey, you need to kind of let me know is a lot of pressure, but it was also, thank you for telling me kind of what I'm getting myself into, because I don't think people understand really, like, yes, it's a huge opportunity, but you have people like all the time. I think about the people that all my employees, if I don't win, they don't win. Right. That's a lot of pressure. And it's a great thing, obviously, to have that impact on people. But, when it's challenging, that's when you think about them the most, and the people that you sell cars to. Yep. Like, I just want everyone to have the best experience they're ever going to have at a dealership. So I truly believe they need to buy from us, So if I'm not doing well, then all the people out there are having crappy experiences.
Absolutely.
That's such a good outlook to have as a GM. Like, you want them to have the best experiences. And I think that I personally know of a lot of dealers who couldn't care less.
I was going to say, they just don't give a shit.
No, just fill my pocket. And, if you buy from me again, you buy from me again. If not, like, we got to remember there are generations of customers being born into the families we're selling to right now. And how long do we want this customer? Do we want this customer for life and their kids and their kids? Because
correct.
So how we treat them today is going to determine.
It is, yeah. And we're not going to win everyone because we have people in our business and they're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes, But at the same time, I think we deliver such an exceptional experience compared to most dealers that we do win the majority of people. And we have people who bought from us since my dad was in the town over before we moved. So they always talk about my granddaddy. Oh, I knew your granddaddy, la la, which is cool. It's so cool to do that because I didn't ever get to meet him. So it's just kind of a piece of that is still living on and people still remember who he was, which is crazy because he was only in this town for 10 years and he made that big of an impact. That's huge.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and I think if we go back to the divine intervention, I was looking back at my notes here, and you went to school for business management and marketing before you ever knew that you were going into the automotive space. Right. I feel like that just goes right along with that divine intervention, and that something had bigger plans for you than you ever had for yourself. And they knew it long before you did. I just think that's amazing how those pieces fit together so perfectly, even years later.
Yeah, it is. And it's, one of those things where I was dead set on science. I was great at science. I loved it in school. And so that's what my mom really pushed me because I don't think she wanted me to get the business. She was like, please don't do that. I see what it does to your dad, And so she was the one who kind of like challenged me and pushed me in that direction. But here I was like, it's like my junior year, I switched to like majors completely, which is so late. But I was like, I need something quick. And my dad was like, well, everything's a business. He was secretly trying to get me to come. So I see that now. But yeah, he's right. Yeah, his plan came to fruition.
So you're the general manager and DP of 2 stores. Plus, you still somehow managed to find extra time to do your own extracurricular activities. I know you enjoy being outdoors. I know you enjoy CrossFit and traveling. Share with us some of those experiences.
Oh, yeah. I just love to travel. It's like that's what like really drew me into the business. And my dad knew that about me. He's like, well, Brooke, you're going to get to travel a lot. You're going to get to go cool places. I was like, oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So he's right. It's a great, with meetings, they're all over the place. But outside of that, I love to, I'm really trying to get back over to Europe because it's just magical over there. But I just love being busy. I'm a busy person, and me and my husband are completely opposite. He like makes fun of me all the time. He's like, anytime it's nice outside, you're like, it's nice out. We have to go do something. And I'm like, yeah, like what else would we do? Just sit on our butts.
I don't want to sit inside.
Yeah.
No. So it's just, I'm always been this person of like, do, adventure. And it's, again, like looking back on my life, it goes hand in hand with this job. Like you have to always be on your feet and doing something and achieving something. And that's just how I've been, is just, hey, how can I put 25 hours in a day? Like, is that a possibility? You know?
That way of looking at things.
Is your husband in automotive?
No, he's in real estate. When we first met, it was like one of those conversations of, hey, look, like you can't ever work here because I don't want to have that, like, I'm your boss kind of relationship. But he has helped us buy a few cars. So that's like, he's kind of like a, outside contractor is what I call him. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, and so you're a football fan. We already know.
He's not.
Oh, and he's not?
No, I saw a post that was like, you convinced him to wear a Panthers hat.
Yeah. So he's more of it. He's from Pittsburgh originally. So he's like an NFL guy in hockey. That's like his thing. And UFC, he loves UFC. But like I took him to his first college football game this past fall, which like college football down here is just, I mean, it's like a religion for people. I mean, good Lord. So yeah, that was exciting. And he's like, I've never seen anything like this, because NFL just doesn't do it. At least the Panthers don't. And maybe it's because we are just terrible. But that could be part of it. So yeah, he's not like super, super into the college football scene at all. And really like not that much into the NFL either, but it's fun to like show him new stuff. He said ever since we've met, he's traveled more his entire like this 1 year than his entire life, which
that's awesome.
I can believe that. So yeah,
that's awesome. I love that for you guys.
Were you in the position that? Sorry, Shasta.
No, you're okay.
Were you in the position you're in whenever you two met?
Yes. So it's actually perfect timing. So we met in September of 22. Got married in May of last year.
Oh.
And so yeah, like we were engaged within like 4 months of knowing each other, and then married like 2.5 months later. Because
you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it is so true. Like everyone always taught me that. I was like, what does that even mean? And well,
she got married in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's just literally insane. But again, it's just like, I can't explain it. I mean, just like you probably can't explain it. It's just one of those things. And but thank God, because before being general manager, I was working like 8 to 8 pretty much, and just had no time to really focus on dating until I got into this position, have more flexibility. And I was like, okay, I think I can like do something with that now. Cause I was like getting to 30 and I was like, okay, like it's getting to that time where I probably should try to find someone, but I live in Myrtle Beach and there's old people here and all that.
So how does he handle the fact that you are this big boss babe in the business?
He loves it. I mean, it was one of the first things he knew about me because we were set up on a blind date by one of my salespeople, actually. Ooh. So he was like, hey, will you go on a date with my boss? And my husband, was like, no, I don't want to. Like, he was in this point where he didn't want to go on any dates. And my salesperson closed him 7 times. My husband said no to going on a date with me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then we went on a blind date. So he knew I was already like the boss, but I don't think he like knew that it's my family's business or anything like that. But he loves it. He just knows that like, this is what I'm passionate about. And he just supports me so much. Like, if I have to work late or have to do something, if I'm stressed, like he's like the husband of the year. He cooks, he cleans, he freaking does everything. Like it's just the best situation possible. I am just
love that.
Yeah.
I hope it stays. I know you guys are still within like the first couple of years. I hope it stays like that. But yeah, that's so amazing to hear, because so many husbands don't even do it in the beginning. So
no, and
awesome he's that supportive.
He loves it. Like he loves to serve. Like that's his love language, is just serving me, and it's very appreciated, because sometimes I just don't feel like cooking or doing any of that stuff, and to know that like that's what makes him happy, is that's how he feels like he's helping me. That's awesome. By doing stuff for me. So he's just amazing.
And you guys get to connect on a lot of fun things outside of the house too. Like you guys play pickleball?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we play pickleball. We play golf sometimes, depending on how frustrated we are feeling. You know, we might just play 9.
Hit a ball right now.
Just the most annoying sport. I grew up playing golf like competitively, so to me, it's just I feel like I should be playing at the level I was playing back then, which just makes no sense.
You can't play for fun now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, I can't play for fun, but the competitive side of me is like, you know, just I want to shoot and then the 80s. But yeah, and then I got him to join my CrossFit gym because, you know, we're a cult. So had to get him to drink the Kool-Aid and all that.
That's funny. I love that. That's actually what made us say that you and Ashley Negron should be best friends, because her and Josh are big into pickleball and CrossFit too.
Yeah, I noticed that too, that they play pickleball. It's so fun. Have y'all ever played?
No,
we're about convinced there.
We are about there. I mean, it's still pretty new around here. Like, I feel I never heard about it until like about a year ago. It's probably older than that. I just didn't start catching wind of it until then. It's still pretty new around here. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what it is. I'm embarrassed to say.
I don't even know how you play.
It's a lot like tennis, but the
That's what I
ball
thought.
is almost like the consistency of a wiffle ball.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a lot easier. So like I played tennis as a kid, but lost all of that. And then when I went to go play one day, like the ball is just going so high, and like pickleball, you can actually control the ball a lot. Like it's just way easier. Yeah, correct.
Cool.
So you should definitely do it. It's a lot.
I only know that because we were at the park like 2 weeks ago, and I saw over at the tennis courts people were playing pickleball, and I was like, why does it sound like they're hitting a wiffle ball? Like, I was just watching them for a while, and it doesn't hardly bounce. Like, it hits the ground and comes up a couple feet, but it's nothing like a tennis ball where it like yeets out of there.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, but it's just as equally frustrating as any sport you play.
Oh yeah. Especially it depends on who you're playing against too, because like the couple I was watching, like the guy wasn't moving at all. The wife was like jumping back and forth, and like he's just like yeah. And I'm like, I see how this works. You are controlling it to figure out where she can go.
Yeah, it depends on who your partner is for sure, you know. And I'll get irritated, and my husband's not competitive at all, so he'll leave and he'll be like, "That was fun," and I'll be in the car just being like silent, just.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah. I was like, I'm never playing this game again. And then a few weeks later, here we are. So,
oh, how funny.
Typical.
So you mentioned earlier, before you were married or before you were with your husband, that you were, working bells, at the store, and didn't have much of a schedule for your own home life.
Mm-hmm.
Since getting with him, being married, and building your guys' foundation, how important has it been to you to have a set schedule and separation of home and work?
Oh, it's huge. And I'm so lucky that I can, because it's not like I have to be out there working a deal unless it's like super busy. I have recently like stayed a little bit later a few times a week, just because I talked to my GSM and my cousin, and it's so great that I have that relationship with them, because they were just open and honest and like, hey, like, we would really appreciate if you were, here sometimes like later when everyone else is. I was like, okay, like, absolutely. And so, I've been staying a little bit later for that, but for the most part, I can leave, and it's great because then I can actually have time with Tyler and be able to go to the gym and do those things and, kind of have that unwind time. And so like, that's something I'm working on for our staff, is something of like a shift schedule. It's not quite there yet, but it's something I want them to have too, because it really does, like, that few extra hours a week really helps you reset your mind and not get burned out, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think that in our industry, especially because like the harder you hustle, the better you are, is I think the kind of the perception that we forget that some of the most important things you can do come from resting and resetting.
Absolutely.
Your brain has a chance to digest everything from your day and make something of it. Sleep gives your body the chance to catch up with how much you've been putting through it. And let's be honest, this industry, I think, is surviving on coffee and Red Bull.
Yeah. It's so true.
So it's important that we remember that we have to do that and reset ourselves and be better for the next day. Like, the more we wear ourselves down in the long run, it's going to hurt us, not help us.
Especially for those of us that don't just go in every day to punch a clock and go home. For those of us that are there to serve a purpose and to help other people and to really grow a company and be there for the right reasons, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, it's required. It's sad because like the car business has always been work. And like, yes, because it's sales, we got to be here. Like when we're here, we got to be making sure that we're doing everything possible to sell a car, service a car, two things. But yeah, it's just, I think COVID was that thing for us and a lot of dealers where you saw people shortening their hours, but still accomplishing just as much. And it just shows you that the hours thing, while it's important to be open for our customers, right? There's a way to figure it out, whether that's, I know Glenn did like an early shift schedule and then the late shift. And I think that's something that I would love to see for our sales staff. We have like a 3-day work week for our service department, 4-day work week for our office staff. But like for sales, there's not really anything there for them,
Right.
Yeah, we have, we did in the BDC, we transitioned to an early and a late, and even kind of shortened those shifts a little bit. And it's been surprisingly helpful for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just,
a big change. Like it wasn't even huge. It was just a little bit, but it seems like it was just enough to get the morale back and get people freed up more to have more family time. And they got out of this vicious cycle of clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out. Now they're coming to work with a purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's just after a while, I mean, I worked those hours forever and I had no life, like legit, because I would go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning. I'd go straight to work. I'd work until 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes 9. And then I had to meal prep, or I had to have like frozen meals at the house prepared, or I was going to eat like crap, And then that was my life, was workout, gym, or workout, work, eat and sleep. And it's just like, when do you, have time for anything?
I don't have time for a personal life.
Right.
Yeah. So it's crazy. And I think about my staff who's got kids and, like God bless them. Cause it's just, I don't know how they, that's exactly why, like, I don't even have kids, so I can't even imagine. And I just think about that. Like, how can I make this happen for them sooner rather than later? And we've never done it. So that's what we're trying to figure out. And then keeping salespeople is an issue, so you have that problem. And it seems like every time we try to get over there, it's just, okay, 2 people just quit. Yay. Yep. What do we do? So
put out another fire.
Yeah, it's just, golly, it's just like so challenging at times to try to get that in place. But, we will get there.
Trying.
It is. It's great that you're showing that initiative and that you see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And I don't know, I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give somebody that was new to the industry, male or female, young or old? What would your advice be for them?
My advice would be to, don't think that you know it all, like, especially because there's all things changing all the time in this industry. It's just, we look for people who have no automotive experience because we would rather mold them ourselves than deal with anybody's bad habits. Because typically, people think that they know it all. That's the unfortunate thing is, I can sell a car. Well, you don't need to tell me what to do, or I don't need training and I don't need coaching. And, people need to earn their stripes, you got to just come in with a humble, open mind and listen to what's being told, because we know what we're doing. Like, we're a successful business. We've been here a long time. We've got great training. We've been able to take people who couldn't sell cars and make them rock stars. And so just being able to say, look, like, I don't know it all. And I need to learn from the people who are here to help me instead of having like, whatever it is. I think some people just think that they can automatically earn a 6-figure income fresh out of college. And it's just like, no,
it doesn't work like that.
For you.
It's like, you got to start somewhere, and
into reality for a second.
Yeah.
Like,
you got to work for it too.
Right.
Yeah. You have to put the work in, and it's just, I mean, that's the rewarding part, right? Is putting the work in, like being like, look, I worked and I got paid what I deserve. Like, that's the best part. So I would say just being open and not being afraid for like commission kind of job either. I think a lot of people are afraid of that because they want the security, but it's like, security is knowing you can increase your top line as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I know that you mentioned that you and your team go to a lot of conferences. What are some upcoming conferences that you guys are going to be at?
So I'm going to be at a South Carolina Auto Dealer Association conference, and I think it's in June.
Okay.
I've got like a 20 group thing in May, but I'm probably going to be at the 800% Elite Retreat in New York in June, depending on how things go. June's kind of a busy month for me.
Yeah, it's a busy month. Oh no, May is our big busy month.
Yeah, May is.
Yeah, so it's just like I've got a bunch of things back to back to back. But yeah, like most of the stuff I go to is 20 group meetings and then Glenn's retreats and stuff. It's just hard to fit everything else in. Like I was at NADA, but like I hadn't gone until last year was my first year because it's just so challenging to fit every single thing in. And then you have all these ideas. And you're like, what do I do with all this information, you know?
And you almost need 3 months to decompress after the last one just to like figure out what you're moving forward with from the last one you were just at.
Yeah, 100%. And like this month is the first month I can't even remember when that I have no travel plans, like no personal, no business. And it's just kind of refreshing because I'm able to be here and actually do things in the store. Because when you leave, you're not involved. And yes, you're getting ideas, but it's just so important right now to kind of like stick with the store and just make sure the things that you're doing are actually working. And if they're not, re-strategizing and all of that. So
yeah, let's not forget about the catch up you have to play whenever you come back from those events.
Oh my gosh.
Including trying to go through all the business cards you collected, remember who you spoke to, what you spoke about, and get everything set up that you need to. It's a lot. It's overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming. And it's just like, oh yeah, you get so inspired and like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then it's like, wait, okay, I need to pick one thing, just one.
Yep.
And then stick it through instead of getting like whatever brain and trying all these other things. You know, that's the biggest lesson I've learned from going to all these things is, okay, Brooke, like that's great, but like, is that your number one thing right now?
Yeah. It's like you get on a little conference high.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is great. I mean, it's so motivational. You come back and you're like, yeah, I'm going to conquer the world. Woo! You know? Yeah.
So where can people reach you if they have any questions or want to connect with you?
Facebook's the best way. I post there every day. So that's probably my most checked like channel. I try to get on LinkedIn. It's just hard to keep up with everything.
It is.
Facebook's the number one. Instagram, I'm on there. But yeah, like I would say number one Facebook, or people can call the dealership, talk to me, whatever, anytime you want. Like I'm always open. I love talking to people about this business because it's done so much for me. And, you know, I've had people call and just wanting advice. Like that's what I love about this business. Everybody's willing to help each other, like, no matter what. It's the best.
Yeah. Love it. All right, Brooke. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and talk with us today. It was wonderful getting to know you. Like I mentioned earlier, we had never even met before. I just kind of took a shot in the dark to reach out to you to see if you'd be interested. And I'm so, so glad that you did. This has been a wonderful episode. So without further ado, before we wrap up, in a world where you can be anything, be kind, because you never know what battles someone else is facing. So while out in the world this week, remember to light it up. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And that's Brooke. And we've been the Chicks in Charge. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Yay, you've made it this far. And if you want to help the chicks out and add some value, make sure you subscribe right now.
Click that little red button down below. Do it. Do it now.